Okay guys, welcome. Bristol Channel today, part 2 of the Zulcron X-GT14. Went out last night for a few hours, me and Adam, a few casts, and to be honest, very impressed with the casting. So we're up on a reef mark today, and going to put the rod through its paces. I've got down here, so basically a pulley rig, but I'm fishing lead lifts today, just on the mark I'm on. I mean, sometimes up here, depending where you are, you'll get away with just a lead lift or get your weight back every now and again, get snagged up. But yeah, just an everyday. I think these are the C-cast 6-ounce leads. I've got a bait clip, I've got the lead lift, I've got a 100-pound swivel, 100-pound rig body, and then going down to 260 hooks. Obviously I'm fishing for cod today, so I want to get that hook point proud, pennelled up with a bit of squid. Now look at that for a bait, you know what I mean? It's one of those. I nearly added bluey with it, but I thought, you know when you look at a bait sometimes you think that's got fish writ all over it. It was just one of them. So I'm going to get him out now on the glass tip and yeah, see how it goes. So I'm fishing the glass tip on one rod, then I'm fishing the XT435 on the other rod. So a bit of different combination there, but anyway, let's get a bait out. We're a little bit tight where we are together really here a little bit, so that reef and covers a little bit more, and then hopefully try and get a bit more space. Hit that too early. So I'm setting the drag. I've got that one on there with a chance of a fawny, but on the other one now I'm going to put a crab bait on there. Always got a chance of a good fawny up here this time of year. It's looks like a bit of weed in there. Mate, got a fish? No, a bit of weed. We'll get the other one set up now. Let's have it. Okay, so second bait up now, and I don't really know what to go for, guys. I've got a bit of bluey in my hand, so I'm just going to go for a bit of bluey and squid, I think, on this one. I've got one plain squid out in a minute. I've got a leftover bit of squid what I used from a minute ago, so why not, as they say, why not? So I'm going to, it's got fawny written all over it. But you never know, there might be a nice cod out there who fancies a bit of bluey and squid. But it'd be just nice to get a few fish on the glass tip, to be fair. I mean, we just met a lad who's just come down from Portsmouth for the day. And he's come down to come to the mark, never been here before, so he sort of like tagged along with us, took him out onto one of the other marks. It's long journey down the Bristol Channel. Hopefully it plays off for him today. Just winding one up here. Nice. Surprising how far people come to travel to go and fish sometimes, isn't it? It's good though, but the trouble I find, especially doing what, because I used to come up here on my own all the time, is cost. I mean, it costs stupid amount of money with fuel and stuff now. I mean, back in the day, it was more expensive enough. Going to the channel was 20 quid. You're looking like 30 quid coming up now. You know what I mean? It tends to be a lot of money, especially if you're coming up a couple of times a week and that when at the peak times. It's not too bad, you get a couple of you. Obviously me and Adam, half's on the fuel, 15 quid each, we're up here, you know what I mean? It's a good day out, isn't it? Yeah, not long now. Hopefully get that tip going over in a minute. But I'm sure everybody's looking forward to the weekend. I know I am. I can't wait, absolutely can't wait. It should be, well, fishing's going to be a lot different than it is here. Obviously it's more match style fishing, but tell you like that, look at that. How can they say no? How can they say no? Right, let's get one out there then. Same again. Chuck that one in there. Plain lead, just to wet the line up, you know what I mean, before we start hitting them. It's nice to get out. It's been a bit of an hectic year for me, really. Not been able to get out like I used to. Obviously getting a bit older now. So working for yourself and stuff. It's same for a lot of us, and I think in my case a little bit. It's I think since COVID and stuff, I think the values of life's changed a lot. I mean, what I used to find very important about life, suddenly it's got not as important, which is the same for a lot of us, I think. You know what I mean? You've family, kids and stuff like that. And I think specimen hunting is always going to be, I'm always going to have a love for it. But at the end of the day, when you're going out and you're wanting to catch these type of fish, what we've had in the past, it's dedication, it's time, and it's a lot of time. I mean, a lot of people see all the good trips, but you don't see the bad trip. What go into it? The heartache, the hours spent driving and going up and down marks, and obviously rig tying. It's a way of life. I mean, it come to a stage, going back a few years ago now, that all I was ever doing was fishing. So when I get home from work, I'd just be fishing, and if I wasn't fishing, I was getting my gear ready, or I was making rigs, or I was prepping everything. You know what I mean? Servicing my reels, everything at its time. You know what I mean? So if I finish the session, get home at night time, all my bearings would go into rocket fuel straight away. I'd make sure I've got clean service reels every time I'd go fishing, and obviously rig tying and stuff like that as well, which is I just ain't got the time now. I'd love to be able to do it every day, but with work and everything else, it's just one of them. But I've found myself in the last couple of weeks actually looking forward to going fishing, which is good. I know Adam's missed me. He loves it, doesn't he, still? But has he got a fish on? You got a fish on there, Ads? No? Weed. Right, anyway, let's get this one wind up. Got some new reels. I'll tell you what, as they get to the end, they're screeching. And I mean screeching. Let's have a look at that. Spool's a bit tight. So hopefully that's all it was. Drop that one down slightly, I think. Yeah. So, both tips sat in the tide. Right guys, so I'm going to bring the glass tip in. A lovely day. I like it. Loads of power. That's proper sea curve right over. Just the top of the tip going over there at the minute. Loads of power. Lead lift working. Bit of weed on, I think. weed. Worst stuff, May sort of time, is when you get that May weed, and it's it can be a right pain up here, trust me. But it's not that bad really. A little bit of weed on here, we can live with that. Today we can live with that. Job done. So unclip this one a minute. So what we got here? We have somewhere a bait elastic, which is nice. I'm gonna go for a little bit of crab, I reckon. A little bit of crab. Oh, these are ready to go. Look at that. Do you know what I'm gonna do? Because they're slightly frozen, I like to have a bit of fresh to go with frozen normally. Unfortunately, it's a last minute thing really today. And we couldn't get no fresh crab. Probably could have rung round, but just I'd done with what we got in the freezer. But what I'm going to do is make a crab and squid cocktail. Something we can get some, just something to hold the crab a little bit better. That's it. The scent, what's going to come off of that as it starts defrosting in the water is going to be unreal. Unreal. That's nice. Right, so that's ready to go. I'm not playing around here today, big bait. If you're gonna get one out, might as well get something decent on it. I was saying before, it's what normally when you can put loads of time into it, obviously you can produce a fish on a regular basis. But when you're not getting a chance to go frequently, it's one of them. Me and Adam had a discussion the other day. It's one of them. What do? Do you go just to go and catch a fish, or do you go somewhere to go and try and catch a big one? Half the time you go in places where you've got chance of catching a big one, but you also got chance of catching other fish, or you go the out and out like big fish marks and wait it out as a waiting game. But the chance of getting one on that one day you're going is very slim. You know what I mean? It's really, it's just like it's like winning the lottery. It's a tad bit of luck involved rather than skill. But that's fishing, isn't it? Anyway, so I will put the pennel around like so. I'm going to put this squid bait down there like that. I'm going to come through the back of this like that. Lovely. That's got cod written all over it. See the Welsh sides fishing for cod. I think there was a 20-pounder caught as well, isn't there? Which slightly deeper water over that side, isn't it? Which I think helps out as well. I think they normally see 20 on there every year. You know what I mean? Normally one sort of appears. We do get the odd one this side. I know there's a few lucky anglers what have been managed to get into one. But there we go. So there it is, my squid and crab cocktail. It only means one thing: let's get him out there. The guy next to us has just had a bite. Okay then, straight down onto the impact. Bit of weed on the top there. Let's try and get one out. Give him a bit more of a cast this time. like I said, it's one of them. If you're going to go and target a cod, lock him up or give it a bit of drag. Half the time with cod fishing, I like to have it connected straight away. So obviously all on that tip, set the hook. But obviously you got a chance of a decent ray here as well, and half the time that ray picks that up, just mouths it and goes to take off. There's a good chance it frights the fish. So really, I like to allow line. If I'm ray fishing, I like to allow the fish to take line. WD-40, bit rusty there, boys. Let's get one of Adam casting now. Unfortunately, he's had a dodgy rod build. He's bought a blank and had a dodgy build on it, unfortunately. Really got to watch if you are buying blanks where you're getting them done to, guys. I'll tell you a little story now. So it's a question we get asked all the time. Where can I get my rod built? Now, Llyn, South Wales, got a very good reputation. Aaron Ensley in Cornwall, very good reputation. I've actually had a rod built off Aaron Ensley, and I can honestly say the quality of it was second to none. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic from the finest detail all the way through to the finish. No issues whatsoever. And yeah, it's one of them really. I know Llyn, he's got a fantastic reputation. I know Geffin's had a few rods built off him, and obviously the end quality is exactly the same, is outstanding. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people what pick up on the fact, oh, I want to go and build rods, get all the gear, because you can buy it cheap enough and start doing it at home. But to be honest, Legendary and the Muse, I mean, the rod building, if I was going to get a rod built and I could get him to do it, he would be the one I would go to get them done. I mean, just for the information and the knowledge behind the build. I mean, there's obviously the issue I had. I had it done cheap. I'm not going to go into details, but all I'm going to say is I had it done cheap-ish. What I thought was going to be a good deal, and took the rod out for the first time. And as I cast it, I put the rod back into the stand, and mate of mine, Rob York, he said, "Your line's touching your blank there, and?" I said, "Is it?" I said, "So it is." So obviously wound it back in, put the rod to the side, and I couldn't use that for the rest of the day. And I took it back and basically got him to change it. But what I was unaware of is that he never spined the rod properly. Now, basically, when you're building a rod, each rod's got a spine, and you obviously roll it to feel for where the spine is, and obviously the guides get fitted to the blank off of that. If they're not correctly put onto that blank, it can cause damage to your rod, as I would later find out. Anyway, I was up on a session in North Devon, and we're talking about M427 SUs here, and unfortunately, the tip snapped as I was bringing in the fish. And yeah, it was all down to the fact that I had a cheap job done on it with someone what didn't know what they were doing, and unfortunately I paid the price for it. So it's a big lesson learned, and it's something I'd put across to a lot of you, is when you're going to get a rod built, look into reputation, look into to ask people. Don't just go ahead and get it done. I mean, Llyn in South Wales, you've got Aaron Ensley, Cornwall. I'm not sure if Aaron's actually still doing it, and I know there's a lot of people. I mean, the blanks what I've got here were built by Zulcron themselves, and they had a guy do them, and I mean the quality of them is outstanding. I mean, really, really, really good, and that's what you want. You need to, if you're spending this sort of money on decent quality gear, make sure if you're buying the blanks and you want them custom made and stuff like that, you're getting them by the right people, guys, because obviously the last thing you want to be doing is paying the price that I did. I mean, I snapped the tip, so that was the end of that rod. Especially if you've got old zippies, especially now, obviously with Ziplex not going no more, or Conoflexes and stuff like that. They're the type of fishing gear that you can no longer get. So make sure you're getting them done by someone what obviously knows what they're doing. But fantastic blanks. So I'm very, very impressed with this brand at the minute. I mean, it's new technology. lighter, more power, and it just, the main thing for me, you're getting people that know what they're doing building the rods. You know what I mean? A lot of the time these companies, they're getting guys to test them. You know what I mean? And we've done tests before in the past. You know what I mean? Only at the end of the day, rods will only stand up to the test of time. But I know some of the ones we've done, and you look back for the branding, and like Ziplex and Century, for example, they've been the main guys and Coniflex for years and years and years and years and years. And people wonder why the prices of the rods are going up. And I can tell you what it is now. You've got the likelihoods of some of the smaller guys in the business, well, obviously know, if we're all tackle tots anglers, aren't we? We're all as bad as each other for it. And if you've got something what's costing 800 quid, everybody wants it, you know what I mean? Because especially if it's Ziplex, Century, whatever it is. So a lot of the smaller manufacturers, what are dealing with really £150 rods, they are stepping up to the market and putting them for sale for 300 or 400 quid, which is, to be fair, it's robbery, because you've not got the same quality as you do the higher end rods on the market. But that's where Zulcron stepped in. I believe they're filling a spot here. You know what I mean? Ziplex has been going for years and years and years, and Ziplex was always known for this performance. And you know, when you cast a Ziplex rod, you can feel that it's been made properly, and the background and development of the rod has been put through the paces, because it was all put together by casters. And obviously this is what you've got with Zulcron now, and I believe it's filled that gap. I mean, it's this, you can tell straight away when you cast it, you can feel the lead straight through the rod, and that's one of the things what I found, what I always liked about Ziplex. Ziplex for me was one of my favourites throughout my time. I mean, anybody what's cast a Ziplex rod, when you're loading the rod, you can feel the lead. It's just a lovely rod to do. It's a Century as well. Century's got some fantastic rods on the market. But obviously, you look like those guys now. People were thinking to themselves, why have they got up so much money? And it's the likelihood of the smaller companies selling a lot of rubbish gear, in my eyes. I mean, I know guys who have bought, I won't go into brands and slagging people off, but I know guys who have paid a lot of money, like 400 quid for a rod, and then they've had the tip snap. I mean, a mate of mine, Adrian Dimmitt, he had a pair of rods and the tip snapped on one of them. Trying to get a new tip, he was waiting for months and months and months. It still never happened. You know what I mean? And in the end, I think he got rid of it. But the customer service isn't there. But it's not, for me, on that rod especially, it wasn't just Adrian what had the issue. I mean, I know about 10 or 12 anglers what have all had their tips snapped. You know what I mean? So it's the development of the rod. It's not being thought about in the correct manner, and that just goes to show. Obviously, you've got to know what you're doing, and it's like that XT435. It's a beast. It really is. And if you want to go out targeting Huss, you want to go out targeting eels, I would have no problem taking it up to Scotland. You know what I mean? It would handle it fine. The power in it is phenomenal. You've got obviously the Zulcron X-GT14. To me, it's probably the best glass tip rod available on the market at the minute. Obviously, we haven't had fish. I can feel it coming through the tide and out on there, but the power in it, you can tell just casting a rod if it's going to stand up to what you want for it. But I know the XT Light. I was having a go, and that's a sieve curve rod. I don't normally like sieve curve rod, but when I was casting it with Adam on that last video we done, the power in it, just the charge, it flies. And at the end of the day, depending what people want, I had someone comment on the Zulcron XT when I was fishing with it the other day up on Barry for the Christmas special. If you're overhead thumping in it, you're not gonna get into the midsection of the rod. If you're pendulum casting it, you are going to get into the midsection of the rod, and I'll tell you what, it's a beast. It really is. That will hit some records on the field. It's exactly the same as a glass tip. I'm very, very impressed with that glass tip, I've got to say. But we just need to get a few fish out today, guys, now on it. Fingers crossed. But yeah, lovely day. To be honest, it's the back tide now. We want that flood. So just hoping as that tide starts changing, we'll get the rays and get the cod coming up over the bank, reef banks there, and hopefully right onto our baits. So let's get into it. Let's bring the big boy in. Don't know if anybody's seen that then on camera, but as I was bringing that rod in then, my right tip just literally pulled right over. Still tight. Good chance of a ray. I ain't got no drag on that. And yeah, good chance of a ray. As I said before, if I'm cod fishing, I don't like to have them set. I don't like the fish to have any line, be able to take any line, because I find it with that initial take as the cod hits it, you want that hook to jam, you know what I mean? And hopefully straight in the side of its mouth. Tide's going out lovely now. Sort of get a gist of what we're fishing over. It goes on to, it's exactly the same down onto the left hand side where we go. It's sort of like reef mud, sand that's built up over the top of it, and that as the tide's pushed in over the years and stuff. And right out again then, you've got another reef. We're going to be fishing over the top of that one now, and straight into where we want to be. Hopefully see a few fish out. So we're going for a crab, squid and bluey. Oh yes, oh yes. Let's try and get a bit of scent in the water, just to try and get a fish out. To be honest, we can get a fish out for the camera, it'll be lovely. It amazes me really, as you get, especially these reefs. I know I don't like fishing them on a massive tides. I prefer a smaller tide, small to medium tide, because the trouble is what you get half the time is you get bombarded with weed, especially on those massive tides. You still get the fish come through, but it's what you got to put up with massive amounts of weed bringing in and trying to clear it and stuff, and you can lose fish by doing it, which is a bit of a nightmare. But we've come up with a small tide today, and to be honest, it's pretty perfect. I like to see a little bit more rougher. For the rays, it's bang on, but a little bit more of a chop really for the cod. But you can only do what you're going to do. I'm going to put this bait here down now, and then hopefully cast him out. See if we can get a fish on, eh? Lovely. That one out there. Bottled it, didn't I? I only done it because I think I've got more chance of catching a fawny. Okay guys, so not a lot happening at the minute. To be honest, I wasn't expecting much to do on the ebb, but as that tide turns around on the flood, we're hopefully beginning to see a few fish. I mean, flat calm conditions, screaming out fawnies, and yeah, I would have thought we'll see a fish out. I'd like to hope so anyway. Can't guarantee it, but it is what it is, isn't it? You can only try, but if not, I'm sure we'll get out and do another session on it. It's not the rod's fault, it's our fault. But yeah, we had a choice of a few different venues to come to today, and obviously where we've come to, I mean, there's other anglers here taking part in some of the cod fishing, so there's cod to be had out. So hopefully we can get into a few, but I can't see why not. I mean, the tide's about to turn now, and hopefully as it starts pushing up over those rocks in front of us, we'll get a bit of depth of water and hopefully see where the fish are laying up. So here's to a hopefully good hour's fishing before we go home. But yeah, it's been a pleasant day. I mean apart from no fish at the minute, it's glorious weather in February, and it's my birthday next week, so looking forward to that. I'm gonna get away with the missus for the night, and then when I get back, I start getting some of the some bits and pieces ready for this week, because a lot of you, obviously it's now the 4th of February, I believe. So we've got about a month to go, but we're just getting a bit of footage and that ready for you guys, really, and hopefully we can do the business today. I was just looking out to the left of us here now. I'll pan the camera around in a minute, but they've put some more structures out in the sea. So I take it the pier, what they've done at Sherton, is going to be extended, which in a minute they're going to be all the way over to Wales. So I'm not sure if that's what they're trying to do or not. But I gather not, because obviously passing boats and stuff. Not really sure what's going on. I haven't been up here for it's got to be at least 2 years since I've been up here. Used to spend a lot of time up here in the summer months chasing smooth hounds and that, and in the winter months chasing the cod and stuff. It's a good part of the Bristol Channel, really. You've got obviously Lilstock, Sherton, Hinckley, yeah, marks all along here. It's probably one of the dangerous marks out of the three of them, just because of the water can come round the back of you. So obviously if you ever fish in this type of area, I would recommend to watch what you're doing. Obviously incoming tides and that. The mark one fishing now, a mate of mine, Wayne, he came up with a buddy of his years ago, 10 of the lads earlier on, and they're fishing a little bit further down, and obviously you get a little bit more of a length of fishing where we are at the minute, and they jump back onto here into a few cod, and there's a gully behind me, and there's another gully behind that, and another gully by that, but you've got to watch the second gully, because this one behind me now doesn't fill up until the last minute. But the other ones, anyway, they hit into a few fish, got a bit excited, and they started to try and obviously realise what had happened, try to get back across, and they were wading up to their nipples in water with the gear above their heads and on their backs. Luckily, they got out in time. If it had been 10 minutes later, it would have been a no-go. And it's one of the things with the Bristol Channel, and I would recommend to anybody watching this that not to take the area for granted. Obviously, watch where you're going and what you're doing. Obviously, there's some good fish out. I mean, there's a lot of guys that travel from along different parts of the UK to come and fish the Bristol Channel. Obviously, the guy next to us, he's just come down from Portsmouth, and to take advantage of the fishing. And it's one of them. But all I would say is, just if you can go with people what know the area, I highly recommend it to go for the first time. If not, just watch what you're doing. If you're looking, always look behind you on the tides and stuff, and enjoy the fishing. But yeah, I reckon we got about half hour to 45 minutes. I would say 30 to 45 minutes, and we should start seeing a bit of fish action. It'll start flooding in, tide will start pulling, and hopefully with that, in come the fish. So here's to it. See what that gets. You think?
Oh.
What's the matter with your engine management, like?
Yeah. Poorly car.
Well, guys, there you have it. Couldn't ask for a better day, really. It's not screaming out cod. It's screaming out rays, which I don't like to say. But you always got a chance of a big one. But we'd just be happy to see anything come out on that rod today, to be fair. Don't matter what it is, just obviously see if we can get a fish out on for the camera on it. But I'm hoping to see this guy next to us, Josh. Seems a nice lad. Come a long way. He had a nice fish off of Chezo last year, 24-pound blonde. He's just telling us a story. He had he fished a few times, and that one night he had 9 in the end, didn't he, Dad? Yeah, up to 24 pounds. You wish you were there that night?
I do wish I was there that night.
I wish I was there that night.
Probably.
Yeah. Guys turned up to fish the Angerstone the flood tide. Probably locals would have thought, but the trouble is, it's a long way for us to come up and just fish a flood time. It's the best time for it, really. We were a little bit premature, I would say, but especially where we are now, it's I mean, rough conditions where we are now. Perfect time for it. Screaming out cod. What's he got there? Has he got fish on?
No.
No?
Bit of weed.
Bit of weed? Bit of weed. Well then. Got one rod in at the minute. I've left the glass tip in just to just on the off chance, but to be fair, I've just started loading up my crab bait now, so I don't really want to waste it until it's the right time. Tide line coming off of the structure out there now, making its way through. I reckon half hour-ish, we'll have a bit of depth there. Hopefully try and get some baits out and see if we can get one out. I mean, some of the locals have just come down a lot further down to the left to just take advantage of the flooding tide. It is a flooding tide mark, really, where we are at the minute. I mean, by the time it all uncovers to get out here, you miss that part of the tide. I've done it a few times and got out very quickly and got on, and you get the odd 1 or 2 fish, and then it just does what it is now. But it's a waiting game, really, out on here sometimes. But it's very rarely, depending on what reef you're on, whether it'll fish all the way through the tides. You tend to fish differently, but at Hinckley, where we are today, what I find is you'll get an initial first run of it, and then you'll get a waiting game, and then as the tide starts to turn, it can kick right off at times. I mean, especially with smooth hounding and stuff. I've had some fantastic sport over the years with the hounds, and sometimes it's just, you can't keep up with the 2 rods. It's just mental. But the cod fishing as well. I remember me and Paul Lynch come up many years ago, and we're getting a few cod, but the weed, it was a big tide, and the weed was absolutely phenomenal coming through. So I prefer to fish it on smaller tides, if I'm honest. But everybody has a different preference, really, don't they? But all in all, nice day. Nice to see Adam and get out. And yeah, we probably got around, I reckon we got another 2 hours. 2 hours easy. So you don't get long when that time starts pushing, but it can make a difference between catching a fish and not. So that's what we're here to do. There's lots of options we could have done today. We've gone top end of the channel. I mean, top end of the channel at the moment would be preference. This time of year now, you're talking January and February, really is sort of like the start, just winter months, isn't it? So you're looking fawnies and cod. I mean, the South Wales coastline at the moment is producing a lot of cod. Had a massive one I said earlier on, I think it was yesterday, 20 pounds something, which lovely fish. But yeah, it goes to show there's still those big fish, what the Bristol Channel is obviously famous for out there. You just got to put your time in and try and get one. But yeah, the reef now's the sort of time, February sort of time now, where you would be in for a chance of a real massive specimen. I mean, there's over the years, there've been some fish up to like 17-pound fawnies come off here. I mean, so people have their preference where to go. I mean, Sherton, before the structure, obviously pier was put in, would be a really good place to go and target a massive fish. Lilstock Reef, exactly the same, is another good place to go for targeting a massive fish. And then obviously you go into March into like the spring run then of the codling, and then also the summer species starts moving in. But where we are here today, obviously we've come up into the grungier part of it just to target the cod really. But further down you've got more chance of catching it, pulling, or you'll get your fawnies here where we are here today as well. But yeah, well, we've had blondes up here, we've had spotteds up here, we've had bass, conger, bullets, gurnard. It was a surprise catch. I've seen loads of mullet around here, smoothhounds. Yeah, it can be a productive part of the channel. I mean, if you want more of your small eyes and blondes on this sort of side, you're looking at going down to like Minehead way really, going down to Minehead down towards Bossington. You've always got chance of anywhere between on that stretch of coastlines there. You've got chance of small eyes, spotteds, good smoothhound fishing throughout the summer months. You know what I mean? Blonde rays, and yeah, you can produce some very fantastic fishing. Well, growing up, I used to live up this sort of way, just up here every weekend and weeknights and stuff like that, just taking advantage of the fishing. But obviously going into the more specimen sides as I got older, it's a nice place to come, and it throws up some massive fish, especially smoothhound. It's the only place really I would come up targeting up to the channel if I'm coming up now is to target a smoothhound or a cod. Apart from that, obviously we've got some fantastic fishing on our doorsteps for the best sort of size fish. But it's a remarkable place, and you can see why over the years anglers took advantage of the cod fishing. But it's just a shame like it wasn't many years ago. As you look back in like the late 80s and the early 90s, the cod fishing on the Bristol Channel was phenomenal, and it's nice to see it in the last couple of years start to progress back, and hopefully we can see it get on into better and better as years go by. But yeah, I'm going to put this rod in now and then get some fresh baits on the go. My cups on my tripod, they're fixed for the XT435s, so I've had to bend them over slightly thinner diameter rod, isn't it? But lead lift's working perfectly today. Loads of power. To get a video on your phone of that tip. I'll try and get him to pick his tip, the tip movement, because the lead's coming up over all the reef there at the minute, and there's loads and loads of power in that midsection going up into that tip. By far the best glass tip version of a rod I've ever used. Lovely tip on it. Bit of weed on the line. Right, I'm going to walk down now and pick the weed off. See the sand coming off from my line there now. So, up on the channel, we went out last night, mate, didn't we? And had a little few casts with the rod.
Yeah, it's a good laugh, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously you give it 10 out of 10, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Oh, we haven't had no fish out of it today yet, but it's handling. I find that it's handling the ground. I mean, the The only glass tip rod I can obviously equivalent it to is the T900 because that's the only glass tip rod I've ever used, really. I had a couple of casts with a GT years ago, and I usually do use the GT a little bit more than me. How do you find it compares to that?
What, to the M4 GT?
Yeah.
It's got more poke in it, I think. Do you think?
Yeah.
It's obviously it's a thinner diameter rod, but
Like,
I mean, I've not used it fishing yet. Obviously, you're the one fishing. So.
What I find with, even with the casting of it last night, is it casts like a J-curve rod still with a glass tip.
It does, yeah. It's
where the
lightning fast,
T900, I think that's got more of a pokier glass tip on it.
That one there has. You reckon the
100%.
T9 has?
No, that
has.
Yeah,
I can say. Yeah.
You can see when the rod, as you're obviously bending into the rod coming up over the channel now.
It bullies
coming
it
up over the reef like that, and you obviously, I've got lead lifts on, but it's still bullying it up over the.
Yeah,
over the
it's definitely
kelp
got.
now.
It's definitely more poke in it.
And it's and the midsection, it just loads up differently.
Yeah, it does. It was lovely to cast yesterday. It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But say time will tell with the fish on, won't it?
No, it is obviously where we come to now. It's a bit of a waiting game at the moment.
That tide's starting to flood now. It's actually just turned now.
I would like to think we'd see a fawny out or a cod, just to make a day of it. It'd be nice to see matey next to us have one out as well, wouldn't it? But build up week for Brit then this week, Matt. Hopefully, our 2-day match on the weekend. best of 3. I think I was robbed, guys. I do because the first year. We had a first day and a second day main event, right? And then last year, we only had 1 day of it.
Which he decided to do.
Yeah, I did decide to do, but I got robbed in the final moment, didn't I? Because I would have done you in the final second.
It was till 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
You can't catch fish after 4 o'clock.
But I was reeling in at
past 4 o'clock. No, you...
Reeling in at 4 o'clock with a fish on.
You didn't know. You went in about 10 past.
No, it wasn't. No, it was 4 o'clock we packed up.
It had gone 4 o'clock.
Did I not have the better fish of the day?
No.
I did.
Not in the comp, you didn't.
Not in the comp, but it was the day.
It doesn't matter that, does it?
Oh, but we got 2 days of it, so we'll have a bit of fun with it this year. I think it's a good one to do because we're both fishing the comp, so it'll be whoever gets the best on the scoreboard.
Yeah, we just have to do 2 comps in one, won't we?
Yeah. So we've got a chance to get on the scoreboard. What would be nice to weigh in? Because have you weighed in up there yet? Have you made it in on the?
Not yet. No. On the.
Well, you've had fish on the lead up.
I've fished,
yeah.
but just...
I think the first year you were putting fish back, which you could have weighed in. But when he's putting them back this year, I won't be. Oh, well, definitely not be. I'll be as long as it's in size, it'll be getting weighed in. So, I know it's a bit different than the type of fishing we were used to.
Massively.
Well, I thoroughly enjoy it.
I like beach fishing.
I love it,
and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there's always chance of a lunker up there, isn't there? So
yeah, you got a chance of massive fish. I mean, going back a few years now, there's been some
a gamble, isn't it?
Some fantastic double-figured cod that had out in the competition. I mean, bass. There's been fawnies. There's been some really good fish pulled out, and I think it all comes down to conditions, isn't it? Because they like this up there, don't they? The cod. It's weird, isn't it?
I know, and we like it rough.
Yeah, because this to us now,
it's too calm.
It's too calm for it. It's more rayy, isn't it?
Yeah, you need it roughed up, or just after a big southwest gale to stir it all out.
Well, if I was coming up here, it was rough. I wouldn't be banging out here. I'd be banging them on here, literally robbing them straight over into the rough.
It is super calm, even for the channel.
It is.
That tide's just turned now. You actually see it, can't you?
It's amazing how it's February, really.
I know,
and I can take this jacket off, and I am warm. So it's.
And there's not a breath of wind, is there?
No, that's crazy. It is crazy, because it gave northeasterlies today.
It did.
Up to 10 mile an hour, but to be honest, I felt it a little bit earlier on, but I can't feel it.
No,
now.
It's gone.
No, but
cold tonight, I think. But
I reckon, I think as soon as it comes to 6 o'clock, we'll be gone by then, though. But
well gone.
It's be able to have an odd tea in that. But in the background there, you can see South Wales. But I was just talking about the reef marks earlier on, about some of the fish what's been pulled out on them, and like the dangers of fishing it. This is probably one of the most dangerous reefs to come to. Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing.
We're being caught off and stuff. But you've had some decent fish off the shirt and little stock in the past years.
Yeah, all these reefs done well. Yeah. It's just
it's amazing.
It's an hour's game, isn't it?
It's amazing how the
reefs
changed over the years. Though you look at like the 80s and 90s, the size of the cod they used to have out, like phenomenal 6 and 7 pounders, 10 pounders were like a regular, regular occurrence, and it's sort of like dropped down to like 2 or 3 pounders now.
It's the same everywhere, though. I think, isn't it? It's the whole. I don't think there's any part of the coastline
In the last couple of years, though, the cod fishing seemed to get better in the channel, which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it comes in cycles, isn't it?
Thing, yeah.
The channel's in cycles, isn't it? And
yeah, I'm not sure the growing size of the cod. I mean, like you were just talking
normally when you get
the
numbers,
wrasse, weren't you?
I mean, when you get a good year of numbers, then you find that the next year will be lower on numbers, but they're
what were you saying about the wrasse earlier on?
Well, wrasse,
a pound every 10 years.
A pound every 10 years. It's like one of the slowest growing fish, isn't it? I think it's
like
slower than bass.
So an 8-pound wrasse is like
80 years
80
old.
years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it, when you
reckon.
look at it like that? It's crazy. Yeah. Cod, I can't see cod being like
cod
that. Surely
they
would be a quick growing species, isn't they? I would have thought.
Mouths, yeah.
But
I think they do. I'm not. Don't quote me on that.
There's a fair few anglers up here now, though. There's certainly
one
fish to be had out. I haven't seen one fish pulled out yet, though. So
7 now.
It's not like we're doing anything wrong. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I reckon it'll happen in a minute, though. I'll see a fish out in a minute. It's turned now. As soon as
that tide hits that back there and starts getting a bit of depth, so it starts pushing up here, we'll see something out.
Yeah.
But game on. Anyway, guys, let's get back into it. So tide's starting to come in here now. Josh is next to us. He's I'm not sure if he's got a fish or not. He's just bringing his rod line in. But I'm just going to go through my rig quickly. So I've got a crab and squid bait on there at the minute, right? So now's the time to start hitting those crab out there and hopefully trying to get into a cod. So basically, if I was fishing anywhere a bit more grungier, so basically, as you can look at the ground around us at the minute, it's what I would class as mixed. It's not. I know, even though you're fishing on a reef, it's not completely rough ground. I mean, we're casting over roughish mixed ground onto fairly clean ground, if I'm fair. But you will lose gear. I mean, as you're bringing your lines through. So as you're bringing your lines through the water like that, obviously it's coming over any of these rocks there like that, and it can catch up, especially the hook in that. So what I tend to do is use a lead lift here, which it won't guarantee it's coming back every time, but 9 times out of 10, I mean, sometimes I come up here, I'll never lose a bit of gear. Other times you'll lose gear. It's always going to be different. But this is what I tend to do. So I've got the lead on the bottom with a bait clip on the lead lift and straight up to 100-pound rig body and trace line with 2 6/0 Sakuma hooks on the end there. And to be fair, what it helps is obviously if that's coming along normally without a lead lift on, you just come along and bounce along the floor as I'm bringing it in, especially when you're out at distance. But with that, it sort of like comes up in the water and it helps to keep the bait lead off the floor as I'm reeling, so it comes straight to the surface, which helps. It does help. I'm not saying it's going to work every time, but if I was fishing a little bit further down where it's a bit more grungier, I would use a rotten bottom release clip on the bottom, definitely. The Gemini ones I tend to use. They work every time. They are good for that. But I'll go through one. I've got a couple in my bag. I might have one in here. Let's have a look. See what I've got here. Yeah, have I got one in this one? No, it's in my other box. But yeah, they're pretty straightforward. You just clip one on the bottom there, put a bit of 20-pound line in it, a couple of knots in, and then just loop it a couple of times and put them down through. You got like a little red clip on the bottom of it. So as the lead hits the water, they will shoot up and then they'll just release down and just leave it onto your lead. So if your lead does come across, because it's 20-pound line, it's got a knot in, you lose the lead and a bit of line, but you help bring your gear back every time. But it's getting about that time, guys. It's getting about that time. I'm going to put some baits in the water now, and hopefully we'll see a fish. Been a waiting game. Do you know what? It's like waiting for that first whistle at bridge on the Saturday morning. Everybody's been on the beach since 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's ready to rock and roll, and suddenly it becomes that time. Everybody walks down to the water's edge and starts casting out to the horizon, and it feels like one of that moments, you know what I mean, as you're waiting for the tide to come in, and you know it's going to bring the fish in. So yeah, fingers crossed. Okay guys, so going to come down to the water's edge now, get one out to the horizon and see if we can get lucky. I tend to fish a bit out further than you, mate. You know what I mean? I like mine in the water. I suppose on a good note, ads, I know you're casting for up there, but your lead will get covered in water in a minute. Here we go then, here we go. Right, you ready, sausage? Watch yourself. You want to go back a bit more. That's the one. That was the one. Right guys, as you can look and see these tips at the minute, the difference and the benefits of a glass tip. Now that rod there at the moment is tight. It's slightly arched, but obviously, and to be fair, it's probably out for a lot further. That was a good cast, that one, but it's probably out a little bit further than the other one. But the benefits of a glass tip, definitely bite detection for a start. I mean, it's sat in the tide lovely. You can just see the top 2 foot maybe yards slightly bent over.
Yeah,
it's just perfect. All that there is just power, just total power coming down through the rod. And yeah, I'm definitely going to buy a pair. Definitely, you can see that. Look at the bite detection in that now. You're picking it up as the tide's starting to move forward. You can see everything. It's so important that I believe in your fishing, especially when you're fishing, depending on what you're fishing for. Fishing for bream, I'll tell you, I love it. I'm definitely taking that premium. Lovely rod for that. Perfect. Long, 180 grams. It's just. I know it says an optimal casting weight for 180 grams, but I'd quite happily put a 200 gram lead on that and cast it to the horizon. I mean, the baits I'm using at the minute, you've got 200 grams there easily anyway. Lovely bit of kit. Lovely bit of kit. Just phenomenal. Pulling over, phenomenal. I've just done a little demonstration with Adam there, and Adam's just recorded it on his phone, where you've got both rods next to each other, and the glass tip, the benefits of a glass tip, especially for the Bristol Channel. I mean, oh, you're picking up everything. Bits of weed going onto the line. You're picking up any tension there at all. You're seeing it. The X-GT14 is just sitting in the tide lovely. I'm not saying it's not, but the benefits of a glass tip is definitely there, and it's a joy. It's a joy to fish with. It really is. Just got to get a fish on it now. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's good. I know straight away. You can get a general feel with the rod as you're bringing it in, especially over the rough ground and that with the lead, and obviously getting caught up here and there and giving it a bit of pressure to pull through, and it's cope with this type of ground. Phenomenal. And if it's going to cope with this, it's going to cope with anything you're going to throw at it with beach fishing wise. Really, not going to go out and out rough grounding with it, but deep water marks in Norway, perfect. Deep water marks Scotland, and that depending what you target. If you're targeting the likes of like spurs and rays and stuff like that, it'd be phenomenal for. I wouldn't go necessarily going out and out skating with it, to be fair. That's when the X-GT435 comes into action, but for 90% of your fishing and to enjoy your fishing, it's there for. I mean, that there, I can't wait till later on in the summer to take that after the black bream, because it's a perfect rod for it. 14 foot, the bite detection's there. I mean, it's got all the power to bring it up over the rough ground. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Well, it's coming up over the other reef now. Right, he's pulling it through now. Probably weed on there. You can look at that rod. Loads of power in this section. Lead's up out there, as you can see on the water. Lead left doing his thing. saying, it's handling that ground perfectly. No issues at all. I think the most important thing, it's got the power to bring it through. And let's bait up, get everyone out there. Right, so as they all say in any good tackle review, you're not going to get to a tackle review unless you try and break it. And if it stands up to the test of time, now its optimal casting weight is 180 gram, but to be fair, I've been fishing with 175 gram leads today, yeah, and bait, so you're not that many and far, but I've just put a 7 ounce lead in. The tide's hammering from left to right at the minute, so let's see. I think it'll handle it fine. Adam seems to think so as well. But we've got Joshua to the left of us. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah? Here we go. Let's do it then. Start. Handled it. It's my casting more than anything then. We have the 435 XT. This is right out there. This is actually bullying it through all the ground. I'm not bringing you in, one. Feels like I'm pulling for a snag. Jaws coming in there.
No.
Well, it can change within space of a few minutes. Flooding tides brought a little bit of wind with it, but certainly looking a lot better for a cod. Trouble is, it's pulling the weed into it too. I can't see it happening today now. Obviously, I'd have thought to see a few fish out between us, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 anglers on here today, and yeah, not much sign from anybody. So yeah, hopefully it's last minutes. If not, have to leave it to another day. 200 gram lead. Right guys, so it's been a bit of a long day. Tide's pushing in on us now. The guy from Portsmouth's done alright. He's got right down the end to come up with a bucket full of crab for him, and we've given the rest of our bait as well. So he's off to a high water mark now. We'll just give him a mark up to the top end of the channel. We'll try and get a codling out. But for us, I think that's it now. Me and Az agreed last cast. But I've just seen 200 gram lead on it then, and no issues at all. It didn't fold up. It's to be fair, it landed with 200 gram lead mostly. I think fishing in the channel, sometimes we need that 200 gram. It makes a difference with your bait staying and not staying. So overall, very, very impressed. I mean, I know we haven't had no fish today, but I've got a general glimpse of more information on the rod itself, especially sitting in the tide, fast flowing tide, second fastest tide floating in the world, the Bristol Channel, and it coped with it fine, bringing it up over the reefs and that. Fine. I mean, that last one what I had on the 435, big clump of weed, to be fair, I think it would have handled that as well. It was just keeping constant pressure and just obviously letting the rod do the work. Not letting out the slackness in the line. I see so many anglers, they get on the rod, they get a fish on, they wind it like that, they get up, and then they bring the rod tip right back down again. The trouble with doing that, you get the line going for your tip down to the sea, which has got 14 foot plus there straight away. And that's without even the line was dropping in the sea as well. So you could be given a 20 or 30 foot line. But you felt with the fish at a rate, I would have got it in all the way anyway. Just to supply constant pressure, and that's all you've got to do with the reefs really, is to make sure you're connected to the line at all times and allow yourself pressure. I mean, at bottoms you get a ray on anyway, and you shouldn't get tangled up anyway, you know what I mean, for anybody who's new to fishing the reef. But it can be rewarding, but it can be a struggle at times as well, as we found out again today. But one of the many joys of the Bristol Channel. Back again soon.